What's up, everyone? This is Niyi Adewale, host of the Ekabo Home Financial Freedom Mastermind Group. This group meets virtually every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and the members of this group are committed to achieving financial freedom well before the traditional retirement age. So in this podcast, you are going to get VIP access to the conversations we have about different forms of investment and creative ways to get your dollars working harder for you than you originally worked to obtain those dollars. The one thing that happened today, and we talked a little bit about it, I want to say last week, and I want to kick it to John just for your thoughts, man, because the news is fresh off the presses. The Fed pulled the rates up, not half a basis point, but 0.75. And I know it's going to affect not only real estate, but the markets. John, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is the highest rate hike we've seen in 30 years, I think. So kind of scary, a little unnerving. I don't know what's going to happen. I think we're probably, like I said last time, not at the bottom. I'm hoping we're near the bottom because it is painful. Luckily, a lot of my clients are on the younger side of things with longer time horizons. So, we always say, it's a blip. Like, I think I shared this on my Facebook if anyone's friends with me on there, but you can scroll out, you can see the blips, and as long as we can weather that storm, we're fine. Now, when we're doing real estate investing and short-term investing, it's a little bit different, but we probably don't want to use short-term investment tools for that unless we're setting up lines of credit against them. But it's bottom left corner to top right corner. We don't want to sell, we don't want to get emotional, we don't want to panic. We only panic if we get emotional. We only get emotional if we sell, and we only sell if we don't have a plan. So that's kind of what we're preaching to our clients. We have them well insulated against this with other products and tools that we're using. But yeah, I mean, it looks like we could be entering one of the longer bear markets that we've seen for a while. I was originally thinking maybe 6-month, 8-month correction and bounce back here. It looks like it could be as long as 12, 18 months. But the longest bear market we've seen in the past probably 20 years has only been 1.5 years. I mean, back in 1942, we had the longest bear market ever, or 1930 Great Depression of 62 months. But we've seen a trend that further and further we've gotten to present day, the shorter bear markets have become. So the last one being March 2020, where we had a bear market for a month, 1 month, 3 months. So I don't know, it's a little scary because it's been down longer than that, and we're closer to present time. So I'm wondering if we're flipping the scripts for a reset here, and it might be longer than 18 months. But my hope is it's probably an 18-month period in time.
And thank you, John. When you pull back and look at the numbers and the data you just mentioned, right? That's crazy. Over the last 30 years, the longest bear market's been 18 months. Now, we've been breaking records, right, over the last 2 years, but I would take that data and it gives me a little ease and a little pause, because this may actually, if you look at it like that, be an opportunity, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we're looking at long-term investing, I said this last month to my clients, but I'll say it again. I haven't been able to buy the S&P at this rate in over a year. And now I haven't been able to buy the S&P at this price in over a year and a half. So it is a nice opportunity to be dollar cost averaging money in over the next, I think, 12 to 18 months, as long as it's a well-diversified portfolio. And, we've got a plan around it. Don't just go and throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, because that doesn't tend to work out all that well. But yeah, if you got a plan around it, if you have excess cash that isn't going towards some of these other projects or things that you can control, it's a nice time to start building up that market portfolio, in my opinion.
Agreed. And a fun fact for all those that are real estate focused, I checked in with a commercial lender today, and their rates are actually lower than some of the conventional loans right now. So it definitely flipped a couple of things. And one thing that anytime you have a rate hike like this or something of that nature, I think it forces everybody to pause for a second, right? And during that pause, there's opportunity. For example, I'm currently in negotiations for a property I'm trying to purchase out in Marietta that I want to use for an AirBNB. We were in the middle of due diligence. There's a myriad of things we got to correct. And so we were negotiating back and forth. And I hung up with the seller's agent a little earlier, And I think they're going to give a little bit more in concessions than they would have a month ago, because if you do put this back in the market, rates are a lot higher, a lot less people able to buy this thing. You're already close to the finish line with me. It's like, hey, let's concede a little bit and just move forward, as opposed to taking it back to market. And then, who knows what's going to happen. So you can use it to your advantage as well. And I want to kick it over to Destiny. It's been a little while. What are you working on now, and what have you seen change in the last couple of weeks?
Well, when we last talked, I was telling you that I was trying to find something to buy. Turns out I'm not really as ready as I thought I was. So just want to wait, which kind of sucks with, the rates and everything. But at the end of the day, I think it was you who told me like it all only matters like what it'll rent for, what the cash flow is. So I just got to pay attention to those numbers rather than the rates. So I've kind of just tell people the same thing, not when it comes to cash flow, but just like these rates aren't going to be the rates forever. So, even if you get a house right now, and everyone needs a home, that's the best part about being in real estate, that, you're always going to be relevant. But I think that the good agents and the bad agents are kind of showing through this hard time, because it's not as easy as it was in 2020 or 2021 to sell a house. You actually have to know the market, know how to write good offers, good strong offers, and put the right verbiage in there. So I'm kind of doing the same thing. I still have some investors that are looking, just haven't found them anything, just working as hard as I can to get stuff going. A lot of people are just like, I'm waiting for the market to get better. And a thing that I've just started to ask people, I'll just ask them this question. I won't say anything. I'll just say, well, do you remember what the market was like before 2020? And just, what was the market like before 2020? If they don't know, like, you just let them tell you, whatever they say. And if they're like, oh, I don't know. And then, like, that's exactly like, you just were used to a great market. Now it's not a great market. It's a normal market. It's shifted back to normal. And people think that since it shifted back to normal, it's a bad market, but it's really not. Because if you go back in time, people were paying 8% for homes during the recession in 2008. It's not even that bad. So this isn't a bad market. It's just we had a great market for almost 3 years. Now people think that they're perceiving this as bad. And then people like me who weren't even, I was in elementary school in 2008. So I don't know really what was going on. I just remember, what happened, but I know that people my age who were just got into the buying pool, because I just graduated from college in 2020. So if you just graduated, you weren't even thinking about buying a house, then you say, oh, it's a great time to buy a house, but you just graduated, you don't have any money. Now you finally got your stuff in order. It's 2022. Now these interest rates are higher. Like, oh no, I'll just wait for the prices to go back down, which is what a friend of mine who's the same age as me said. And I said, they're not going down. This is the market. We're experiencing a great market, and people are getting discouraged. You just kind of got to hit them with reality a little bit and just say it's a shifting market, and it's going to keep shifting. And like you said, with the Fed hiking up the rates, I actually had a loan officer tell me about that. He just sent me like a graph with, I think it was something from the Fed, because he works for Annie Mac. So he was telling me about that, and it's just going back to normal. It's a little bit higher than it was before COVID, because I don't really know what the average rates were before COVID, because I didn't get my license until after. Oh, Kareem has his hand raised.
Go for it, Kareem.
Hey, yeah, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, guys. Just had a
You're
quick
fine.
question
Yeah.
regarding specifically the rate hikes that are happening right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this considered a barrier to entry to some other investors, hence decreasing the competition a little bit?
Yeah, so the loan officer that I spoke with, he kind of was saying something like that. Not like barriers, but he was just saying that they are raising the rates to stabilize the market, which I believe is helping a little bit. Average days on market are going up. There's less bidding wars. There's still bidding wars for houses that are marketed great, but if you don't have a really good pricing strategy on the first week, you might not get an offer, which is what we're seeing. Even for very great homes, they're still on the market. It's been a week, there's nothing wrong with them. We're going back to a normal market. It wasn't normal for houses to sell in less than 2 days.
And to that point, piggybacking off of that, it's for the lower like cost products that are on the market, right? If you were a first time home buyer and you had everything saved up and they're like, hey, you're qualified for 200K. When they raise it 0.75, you're probably no longer qualified, right? Your
Yes.
mortgage goes up. It's going to be very tough. So they're putting a lot of things in place to make it a little tougher. And Green, we've experienced this firsthand, right? One of the pieces that they put in place that I've learned about over the last few weeks and few days is for investors, they're only allowing you to get 2% back toward closing if you negotiate that, right? Up to 2% back. And they're adding points onto any type of conventional loan. So you end up paying more at closing to try to curb investors from picking up all the houses which are in short supply. If you're buying a personal home where you're going to put 5% down, conventional, they'll allow you to get up to 3% back toward closing as opposed to what you could before. And then if you're doing an FHA, first time home buyer, and you're scraping everything together for that 3.5%, you can get up to 6% back. So they're really encouraging, more first time home buyers and more individuals that are going to live in the house to buy it out as opposed to investors. But in my mindset, to your point, Destiny, what you mentioned earlier, interest rates are just returning back to normal, right? It was at historic lows for so long that we got used to it and a little bit spoiled. And now it's going back to 5-6%. And this is actually a good range for the Fed to be able to help pull us out of future recessions and things of that nature. When you're already at 3% or down to 2%, it's hard to lower it anymore to protect against that. So that's kind of what's happening in my mind. But Jason, you've been investing in two different markets. Would love to hear your thoughts.
Oh yeah. So me here, I deal with some investor client of mine. A lot of them using the non-QM loan, the one that non-qualified mortgage. So they don't check for income, none of that stuff. But the interest rate is a little bit higher. So what they did was, they try to get as much home as possible because with that it's non-QM, so it's better than conventional for some sellers. And they got it under contracts, and then they intend to keep it for like a year or two to refinance back to conventional. So it's still red hot over here. A lot of people are still buying. A lot of people are still using private money, and also a lot of people here in my market, they use this program called Ribbon. You guys heard of it? It's kind of like this. They give you a cash offer opportunity for you to go bidding war. So when you go bid on a house, right, 10 different buyers, you pretty much, the Ribbon is going to purchase the house in cash, and then all the agents get the commissions. And then after that, the Ribbon's going to resell back that house to the buyers. So in other words, it comes in with a cash offer, you win. But as a matter of fact, behind Ribbon's program, you can, the buyer can use VA, FHA, or conventional loan. So that's another way that a few of my clients are doing to win a bidding war.
That is and actually I have heard of that, but you've actually experienced it where a client's worked with Ribbon?
Yeah, they actually did. There's a lot of paperwork up front that they have to submit to Ribbons, but the program actually worked. When you write a contract, you've written in Ribbon's name, and then you got it under contract under their names, and then they resell the property back to you to the buyer. And
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they always win in a bidding war. Always. A cash offer, you close in 7 to 10 days. Who wouldn't want that?
Hey, you can't beat that. And if anybody comes to me with a Ribbon offer, I'm gonna take it. But to that point, so how is Ribbon making money? Do they resell it at a higher price, I'm guessing? Or
oh no, they charge 1% of a home value. So so home here in Virginia average about $500,000, $500,000 to $600K average. So they charge you like 1%, so $5,000 to $6,000. Instead of the buyer bid up and then pay the difference in the appraisal or value, they're just going to pay the 1% and they get the house.
That's pretty cool.
Behind that, they can use whatever loan they want. VA loan. I have a guy who used VA loans. With VA loan, they can't really buy a house nowadays in a hot market. And they use Ribbon, and then Ribbon's going to resell it back to them using VA loan. So they win the offer. we got a house.
That's not bad at all. One
Yeah.
question on that, because they can close in 7 to 10 days. Do you still get an inspection period to like send in or due diligence and things of that nature?
Well, Ribbon's going to get a house under their name first, and then
Mhm.
after that, whatever the VA loan thing is going to be between the buyer and the Ribbons. So the house will close, and they can still move in. They can do all that stuff. You know, they can move in, and then they can do the transaction afterwards.
That's
But
pretty interesting.
yeah, as long as they pay the 1%, I don't think Ribbon cares.
Okay. I'm going to look into that because I have a couple clients that we've been trying, we've been losing. It's been tough. I'm hoping that this rate hike kind of slows other people down, but no, I'm going to look into Ribbon. I've heard of it. I just never looked into it like that.
Yeah, some lenders use it and some don't. I lost so many bidding war. We went to see like more than 60 homes and we couldn't get anything under contract. And then, I joined one of his meetings here, and then one of the lender came in and they said, hey, we have Ribbon program. This is how it works. And I gave it a shot. It actually worked. It
That's pretty cool.
actually worked.
That is pretty cool. And John, question for you. I know you mentioned that, and we talked a little bit, you mentioned that you're starting to look into a little bit of the real estate play and kind of figure out, what the strategy is going to be from there. Have you had any more thoughts or any more questions around that?
No, we were planning a wedding and we got the preliminary package of the cost for the wedding this morning, and it is astronomical. It's stupid. But luckily my income has grown fairly significantly over the last 2 years, so should be able to pay for all of that and buy a property, which would be the next big goal. So it's just, taking the action, starting to look at deals, starting to make connections with people in and around Poconos. I do want to buy land and then build a tiny house and turn it into a unique stay, or also considering a beach property, as we find ourselves in and around Ocean City, Maryland very often. And when we try to book an Airbnb out there in the summer, it's like $500 a night for 1 bedroom, 1 bath places. So I feel like if I can solidify something there, that would probably be the play. So yeah, it's just building the cash and figuring out the place, but looks like Maria's on board. So that is a huge help.
Hey, come on now. That's half the battle. And
Yeah.
Congrats on the upcoming wedding. I'm looking forward to seeing the pictures and the videos. I know it's going to be amazing. And a question to the group: has anybody done development work similar to what John just mentioned, done tiny homes or anything like
That
that?
would be super helpful if anyone has any info on that.
I hired somebody to do it, but I haven't done it myself. Yeah.
That was my plan. I would like to hire builders or someone to go about doing that. Like, how did you screen the people that you hired?
Well, so this person is she's actually my broker in Atlanta. And then she do real estate development, around Atlanta area, and she's building a lot of duplexes and multifamilies. Yeah, so I hire her to build one of a duplex for me within this year. So I'm going to be getting it towards the end of the year. But I think what she did was she bought a raw land, get it under contract, due diligence for like I think 30 days or so, and then she sent it to one of a consultant company that the guy used to work in Gwinnett counties, and now he opened a consultant companies. So what this guy does is he's kind of like screen out the land and basically tell you that, hey, you can get a permit on this land. This land is good to build a house here. And then once you hear the confirmation back from him, then we can move on to the next stage. Get the land under contract, and then started to get all the other stuff in. Yeah, that's pretty much all I know about the development. I'm trying to get into it, but it's kind of complicated, Yeah, so start from raw land and all that stuff. I'm still flipping,
Yeah, that's kind of what I got to talk to me on Friday about it, and it seemed like there's a lot of the pieces into the puzzle. I do just need to take action and buy another property, get my third one out there, and keep this one as a rental this time rather than resell it. So I think that's where the Airbnb beach house idea kind of came in, because when I was thinking through the development and drilling and septic and water and electricity and all those different permits. I was like, all right, maybe that's something a little too deep for me to jump into, and I can just buy a property, put in the systems, turn it into an Airbnb, and be good to go.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Whatever is saving you the most money and get started as fast as possible. Because new construction could be a headache because, we started a few months ago. I think towards the earlier of this year, and we're just now doing a grading because the plan keep going bounce back and forward. They just want a little thing at every time, and they just don't tell you the whole thing. Hey, do this, and then we're done. They just kick back, say add this, and then add this, and we're still negotiating, still back. So it's kind of a hassle.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a foreshadow. Jason, I shared it with the group last week, but we actually have a date for signing. We're signing this Friday with my realtor in Louisville. We're getting this land, 11 acres, and we're going to develop it into self-storage and then apartment units. And yeah, we're not going to be the ones on the ground doing all the work. We actually met with a couple engineers and contractors and things of that nature that know this process. And the dollar signs are already adding up. So it's
In the project.
If you can find something that's already there, man, for your next deal, I would highly recommend. I'm excited about it for 5 years from now, but this next year is going to be a lot of money poured into it. Put it like that.
So you guys gonna be doing it, all of you, or?
This is me and my realtor. Yep, we're going to do the first phase. So we're going to handle the self-storage, which is going to be about 2 acres. And we were going to get a construction loan. We're actually signing on Friday. We both have the operating agreement. We're putting money in the account to get that going. And then for the next 3 phases, which will be 3 different multifamily units on the other 9 acres, we're going to reach out to investors. So people on this call, if you want to get involved, and then also just our networks. And that is going to be a huge deal over the next 2 to 3 years. It should get completed.
Oh, wow. So you guys looking for investor now? Yeah. Hey, I'm interested, man.
Come on now. Hey, and
No.
done and done. And Jason, I'm interested in this development thing you got going, man. You got to let the broker know that, hey, I want to buy something too. Hey, Kiera, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Super good. Are you still at work?
No, so I just got back. I had a late client tonight, so I just got back and then I spoke to the roof people because they were here replacing my roof on my home.
Nice. And do you mind sharing with the group kind of how you were able to work that?
Yeah. So getting the home at first, I was a little nervous because the only main thing that was an issue about the home was the roof. And I had a referral from one of my coworkers who knew someone who just knocked on his door and then said he could get his roof replaced for free. And my coworker was like, okay, well, how can you do it? And he was like, well, I have a relationship with the insurance company. And from the look of your roof, it looks like you have like storm damage. And so what happened was with his roof, he got his replaced. He referred me to this guy who was amazing. His name was Lenny. And then he went on to my roof, also saw that there was wind damage. And I was able to get the full replacement from the insurance company because of their relationship. So I'm really excited about it. It was the one thing that came up in the inspection. Everything else was really good. So it's a huge relief having that all taken care of.
Yeah, congrats on that piece. I definitely want this person's contact for the future. And
Yeah.
I can tell you that having just replaced the roof on a property in Louisville, which is supposed to be a cheaper market, that it's expensive. It's very expensive. I went into it thinking, okay, it's going to be $6,500 to replace the roof. And then they got up there and realized, hey, all this wood is rotten, and now it's 10 grand. I was like, okay, so count your blessings on that one. Now you got a roof for the next, hopefully 20 years. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a big blessing. I was extremely grateful. I'm happy that it's replaced and I don't have to worry about it. And it's definitely adding value to the home. So I'll definitely give you his contact after the call.
Done and done.
Is that Mid-Atlantic Construction? Is a company like Mid-Atlantic Construction?
No, it's Dynamic Roofing. So yeah, and he just, he's been around for a while. He just transferred companies. He was with the US Roofing, and then he transferred to Dynamic Roofing when he did my roof. But he's amazing. Like he knows his stuff about roofing.
Yeah, that happened to me a few years ago too. It was a not too big of a storm, but one of the things fell off, and then he came in, hey, I got experience with an insurance company, and then they replaced my roof for free.
That's so nice. It's such like a blessing. They just knock on your door and are like, yeah, we'll take care of your roof for you. It's awesome.
Guess what? An entire neighborhood covered them because it happened on the entire neighborhood. So they come after each house and they just replace the roof. It's funny.
It's smart. It's a good way to do business. You replace one roof, they put the sign out front, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna replace the entire neighborhood from here." That's awesome.
Tell you what, guys, if you see me on my roof with a leaf blower, don't ask any questions. All right, I'm just gonna handle this right now. So we're coming close to the close. We got a little over 5 minutes left on the call. Anything that's top of mind? I know we talked about the market early on. We talked about the points increase and kind of what that can affect, but any topics or any questions that are top of mind from anybody?
Well, I just saw a post about the interest rates rising, the Fed's raising those. So that's definitely something I'm interested in hearing people's perspective on. Do they think, especially within my job, everyone's talking about a recession, whether they should buy real estate now or not buy real estate. So any thoughts on do people think a recession's coming, or do you think it's a great time to buy? I mean, I have my own opinion on it, but I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think even with the interest rate, because when I buy real estate, I think long term, like 10 years or more. And with this low, I think when interest rate goes up, we have small amount of buyers, but we're still low inventory, so we have small amount of seller too. So I think the price is going to be stable, or they can appreciate at a lower pace. I don't think home is going to ever, I mean, not ever, but I don't think it's going to crash at 2008 or any of that things. And I think the home appreciation is going to still continue to go up. Consider how many people actually move into the US every year, and the development rate a lot slower than the population rate, Yeah. So I think that's going to push the home value up. I mean, even if the interest rate going up right now, I still see a lot of people still buying right now, because we don't have a lot of house for sale at the moment. And if you buy now, 10 years later, you make a lot of money.
I agree. That's a great perspective. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and even if people buy now with like 6%, 7%, what happened is next year or 2 years later, when the rate drops to 4%, you can always refinance that. Like, they don't have to pay 6-7% for like 10 years straight,
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. So yeah, still buying. I mean, if numbers make sense, we'll buy.
Yeah,
Makes
I
sense.
tell people that all the time. Just refinance it when they go back down. You'll have equity. It's gonna still appreciating. So yeah.
That makes sense.
And I agree with exactly what Jason was saying. I think it's, again, you're going to have an opportunity because people are pausing right now. But the past 2 years, we've been seeing double-digit growth, which has been crazy and incredible. These rate hikes are going to pull us back down to semi-normal, where it's, it's supposed to only appreciate, 3 to 5% or so a year. So I think we're going to go back to that closer to normal, but I don't see it going into a decline as far as housing prices, at least in the markets that most of us are in.
Oh, that makes sense. Thank you all for your perspective on that. I really appreciate it.
I was saying something and I realized I was on mute for like a whole minute before Kira started talking, but it's all good because you had a good question. But I was saying, like, with me, I was trying to buy the property and I'm not able to get one just because I haven't been in real estate long enough. So I haven't made, you need 2 years of income. So they're not even able to use it. And the income that I have, I just started selling this year, really. So I haven't really been making money for 2 years, really just 1 year. So do you recommend like how you can buy houses with like no money down or anything like that? Like I was thinking of seeing what kind of loopholes I can do, or should I just wait until I have the money to do it?
I'm gonna give my take, and then I would love to hear Jason's. I know he's done some non-mortgage qualifying. I'm saying it wrong, but non-qualifying loans. I think that right now, one of the ways that you can, well, two ways, is DSR loan, DSCR loan, right? Which I've looked into, which is an expensive route. That's one where they don't look at your income whatsoever. They look at the property's income and what it can bring in. But the caveat with that is you got to put down 20%. Right. It used to be 15% as about like 2 months ago. And then when they started kind of changing some of the rules around, now it's 20% minimum that you have to put down. So that may not be an option. Another route is seller financing. If you can find a home that's been sitting for 30 days plus, because of what you mentioned earlier, you mentioned that with rates going up, when you're selling a house now, you can't do what you were doing the last 2 years, which is, hey, something sold for 450. I'm going to list mine for 480 and it's going to sell. Right. And it's going to go over asking. Now you've got to actually look at the comps, say, hey, where should it be priced, and price it right. And if people aren't doing that, you may have an opportunity to swoop in and talk to a seller about seller financing or try to do an off market deal. But Jason, would love to hear your take on creatively picking up deals.
Yeah, regarding the non-QM loan, I know a loan that does 10% down investments. Only 10% down. They don't check for your income, none of that stuff. So that is one thing you can do, or you can pick up an off-market property. I know a lender who fund 100% to 100% financing. You put 0% down, and you put none of your money down. So you may pay some little closing costs, but that's about it. And then you're gonna force appreciate the property to the market value, the retail market value, and then once you fix it up, you refinance into the 10% down I was talking about. And then you can do Airbnb. You know, the Airbnb bring crazy money in, and you just hold on to that property. But then you can cash out a large amount of cash because you only put 10% down on the non-QM.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to look into some less traditional loan options because I want to buy something this year just so badly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Jason,
let me know if you need anything.